Hi everyone and welcome to the Classics department. In the following slides I will talk you through the qualifications available at National 5 level, that is National 5 Classical Studies and National 5 Latin. So as I've just mentioned, in the Classics department we have two subjects available for study at National 5 level. The first of these is National 5 Latin and the second is National 5 Classical Studies. These are two independent subjects. So both subjects would not be taught within the same class. They would be separate qualifications and pupils often choose to do one or both of these subjects at National 5 level. We'll start with National 5 Latin. By the end of S2, we have covered about 60% of the language and grammar needed for National 5 Latin. And throughout S3 and S4, we continue to build on these translating skills that we have established in S1 and S2. In addition to translating, we also develop the skills of literary appreciation through reading original Latin texts. Some of these stories include Virgil's description of the underworld in the Aeneid, a very famous part of Virgil's Aeneid where the Roman or the Trojan hero Aeneas travels down into the underworld in order to get some advice after having visited the Sibyl at Cumae. Another story that we often read is the story of Androclus and the lion. Androclus is a Roman slave who is face to face with a lion in an amphitheatre, and we totally expect the lion to maul Androclus to death, but the lion doesn't do this because he recognizes Androclus from a previous encounter. Another famous story which we read in the fourth year Latin is Ovid's Daedalus and Icarus story from his Metamorphoses. And this is a very famous story that many of you will be aware of, where Icarus, the son of Daedalus, flies too high and becomes too close to the sun. The wax melts on his wings and he falls to his death. A story known by many who are fans of Greek mythology. And there are a few more stories which are tailored to the needs of the class. National 5 Classical Studies, which is a separate qualification to the National 5 Latin, is slightly different. You do not have to have chosen Latin in S2 to do Classical Studies at National 5. Okay? Many pupils do continue to study Latin and Classical Studies having studied Latin in S2, but for Classical Studies, people can come in with no prior knowledge of the subject. The biggest difference between Latin and Classical Studies is that there is no translating involved in Classical Studies. It's all already in English. And we also look at the life of the Greeks as well as the life of the Romans. The first unit in Classical Studies is Life in Classical Athens. And in this unit, we look at the lives of people living in the 5th century BC. This includes how the Greeks worshipped their gods, the role of women in ancient Athens, the use of slavery in Athens, what it was like for the lives of the daily Athenians through education and in the house, and the system of Athenian democracy and the Athenian legal system, two very complex political organizations and administrations that make Athens a unique place in the ancient world. The second unit is called Classical Literature, and we read the following texts. The first one is a play, a Greek tragedy, called Oedipus the King by Sophocles. And this is about a man who accidentally kills his father and marries his mother. It is an excellent play. And the fact that it still continues to be read 2,500 years after it was written, is a testament to that. And the second text which we read is Homer's Odyssey. Now, in second year, many of our pupils have already studied parts of the Odyssey at a very basic level. At National 5, we go into more depth. We look at specific books of the Odyssey. Books is the term really for chapters, 9, 10, 12, 22, and 23, about Odysseus' return from Troy and what happens once he arrives back on Ithaca. And then finally, Unit 3, we look at the lives of the people living in Pompeii in 79 AD. This includes topics such as entertainment and leisure, what were the bathhouses like, dinner parties, the theatre, the amphitheatre. We also look at what it was like to earn a living in Pompeii. How good was Pompeii a place to stay in? Was it a place where people went to make money, or was it a place where people went to spend money? And here we have, and we also look at public and private religion in Pompeii. How did the Romans worship inside their homes, and how did they worship outside of their homes? Were these different? If they were different, why were they different? And perhaps most excitingly, we also look at the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. This is a great case study because we are able to draw on so many different aspects of classical learning and so many different aspects of research, such as looking at archaeological sources, looking at literary sources, and trying to piece together an image for what, or piece together a narrative for what the eruption of Vesuvius was like for the people and what it has left as a legacy for us. Just very quickly, for going beyond National 5, those who do National 5 Latin can progress on to higher and then advanced higher Latin. Those who do National 5 Classical Studies can progress on to higher Classical Studies and advanced higher Classical Studies. There is a bit of overlap between these, and sometimes we can have a crossover between the subjects the further up we go. Just very quickly, some careers with classics. Many people ask us, what is the point in studying classics? And here are some of the careers people have gone into who have studied Latin, Greek, and classical studies at various levels. Law, research, teaching, accountancy and finance, marketing and PR, management consultancy, politics, and media. And just to give you a flavour of the types of people and the types of jobs that have come out from classics, studying of classics, we have Jonathan Evans, who's the head of the British Security Services at MI5. He himself is a classicist. J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter novels. She read classics at university, just like Jonathan Evans. Tom Hiddleston, some of you may know as an actor from the Thor films, Loki. He read classics at university. There's obviously Mary Beard, who's very famous on the television and on Twitter. She's a professor of classics at Cambridge University. And here we have Chris Martin with his ex-wife Gwyneth Paltrow and 2 children. He's the lead singer of Coldplay, and he is a classics graduate, a Latin and Greek graduate from University College London. So it just goes to show that classics can take you in many different avenues and can take you down many different paths. You don't just have to be somebody who's going to spend their life translating Latin. It can enrich so much about what you know. And that's because of the skills that classics presents. Learning to understand challenging subjects, research and analysis, critical evaluation of sources to help formulate an argument, possibly one of the most important skills a classicist will learn, articulate arguments thoughtfully, write under and think under pressure, and identify problems and their possible solutions. A lot of the material in classics has been analysed for hundreds of years, so people are very well versed in it. People know it, the material. So it's all about accuracy and confidence and how you can put across your views about things to a community that's considered highly academic. But ultimately, the main reason to choose Latin or classical study is that you enjoy it. And if anybody has any questions, pupils or parents alike, about National 5 Latin or National 5 Classical Studies, please don't hesitate to get in touch with myself, Mr. Baker, or Mrs. MacLeod, the head of department. Thank you.